So it's that time of year again, and I'm going to do stability tests again. And basically what I'm going to do is get all of my favourite products that I've been stability testing, either using or on a shelf, and I'm going to run them through my Dip Slides incubator and see if our preservative efficacy is there. If it is, on most products now I should have about a year's stability, which means that I can send them to a lab for challenge testing and be really happy that they will pass. If they do, however, have bacteria, then I need to readdress my GMP and I need to look at the formula and the preservative again. But we won't know this until we've tested them, so let's go grab the products and do that now. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is put on some gloves because we don't want to contaminate any of our slides unnecessarily. And then what I've got is the dipslides.com incubator specifically for cosmetic products. And in there you get some fresh, clean dip slides. If you haven't seen my video about how to use this, then I'll link that below. I go through a whole unboxing and demo of it, but they are extremely good. The reason you'd use these is if you want to sell products containing water in the UK or EU, you have to submit your products for challenge testing. And this means considerable expense, and you basically want to be sure that they're going to pass, because if they don't, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So that's why we buy this, because this means that you can do this at home at different intervals during your stability testing, and then if it passes, you know for a fact that it's going to pass your challenge testing. And you won't have to pay again to have it retested. And what you've got here is they give you a nice guide so that any results that come up on here you can compare to here and see if they're at acceptable levels or not. An acceptable level for you may be nothing. For me it's nothing, but it depends on what you're making really. So we've got that, and then they also give you some labels so you can clearly label what you're putting in the incubator. Now obviously this has only got 2 slots in it. You can get slightly bigger ones, so I'm just going to do 2 at a time, and these do need to be left for 24 to 48 hours, so I'm going to have to do 2 at a time. So let's see what we've got and we'll decide what to start with. So first of all, I've got this niacinamide body lotion that I made in March last year. We've been using this. I really love this formula. I'm going to be making a lot more of this, assuming it passes. So that's one of my favourites, so I do want to test that out. I also have my rosacea cream. This would be a bit soon maybe. I do sort of like a 6-month challenge test and then I do a 12-month, so I might leave this just a little bit longer before I do that one. Then I have the Sol Janeiro Brazilian Bum Bum cream that I did a dupe of, and this was done on the 15th of January 2023, so that's a year now, so I definitely want to test that. So I think we'll do those 2 first and we'll see how they come out. So for any products I will have multiple that I'm doing stability on, so I'll have one that I use, which is this one, and that's the one I'm going to test today. I'll have one on a shelf just sitting there doing absolutely nothing at room temperature, and then I'll have one that I do the freeze thaw method with, which is to freeze for 24 hours and then thaw for 24 hours and then repeat that 3 times. You can do an incubated phase of that if you have like a fridge type incubator. Obviously I've only got this, so I can't do that here at the moment. I'll probably get one at some point, but that's how you do that. And what that's doing is not necessarily checking preservative efficacy, but just checking the stability in general with the packaging and sort of tolerance to heat and cold, because in shipping your products will experience different temperatures. So that's what that does. And then this is testing the efficacy of your preservative. So we'll do this now. And what they give you are these sterile swabs. So you take one of those, you take your dip slide and you pull it out of the container, hold it by the little bottom bit there. And then you've got two sides. They test for two different things, and it tells you all on the sheet. I explain this in more detail in my other video. Like I said, that's linked below. And what we need to do is take a little bit of the product on the swab. So I've got a little bit here, that's possibly a bit much. And then you just wipe it on the surface of the dip slide. Just a thin layer. You don't want to slather it on. Just like that. That's one side. Then you take this swab and you throw it away, because you want to use a new sterile swab for the other side, because you don't want to be transferring from one side to the other. So you have a new swab, turn your dip slide around, not touching the surface. And again, we'll take a little bit of our lotion just on the swab, and then just spread it over here, just a thin coating. Let's get rid of the excess, just like that, and then throw your swab away. So that is your dip slide. You've covered both surface areas very thinly with the product. Put it into the sleeve and push it so it's secure. And then we'll just put that to one side, and we're going to label that with one of our stickers. So I've got them here. And then today's date, which is the 15th of February 24. So we're a little bit early. We're a little bit early on this one because we made it in March last year, and we're testing it in February this year. It was actually the 15th of March last year, and it's the 15th of February today, so it's exactly a month early, but we're around a year, so I'm going to give that a test anyway, just because I'm curious. So I'm going to take that off, take the slide that I actually put the samples on, and then put my sticker on. Now I'm going to put it on the side there, because that's I find that's the best place to put it, where you don't cover up too much of your testing area, because otherwise you can't see. So we've done that one, and then what we do is pop it in one of the slots in the incubator, and then that just keeps that at a constant temperature for the time that we're testing it. So now we'll do our second product. Now this one is one I haven't actually used. So this has literally just been sat on a shelf since the 15th of January. I think we're doing everything on the 15th. Spooky. So let's get our swabs ready. Take our dip slide out. Satisfying noise. Okay, and then we're just going to put that in view. Just going to take the sterile swab, a little bit of the cream. Go. And then you just rub it on the surface like I did before. Of course, whilst you're doing all this stability testing, you're also noting down any changes to smell, texture, appearance, etc. for your product, so that you can note any changes. There we go, it's the first side done. You're basically looking for no significant changes over the time period you want to give as your use by, basically. So I want a use by of around a year for my products, so I want to make sure that they're stable and there's no dramatic changes to them within 12 months, and that's why I do all of this stability testing. Okay, and that's the other side. Throw this swab away and then pop that back in its container, and then we'll label this one as well. Take the label off again, pop it down the side because it's the easiest for being able to see your results, and then we put it in the incubator, and then those will sit there nicely for 24 hours. We'll check them then, we'll check again after 48 hours, and then we'll give our final results and we'll move on to our next set of tests. And like I said, if you want a bigger one, they do sell a bigger one, so you can do more in one go, or you can buy multiples of these. And the link to all of the dip slides and everything you see here is down below, and they've kindly offered a 5% discount to anyone watching my videos as well. So if you go and type in the discount code that's listed in the description, you'll get 5% off your order. So we'll come back to this tomorrow and see how they're doing. So it's actually a couple of days later now. I left these 48 hours. For the pink side, you can leave, I think, 72 to a week to see if anything happens. But really what I'm looking for is the yellow side at the moment. So let's check and see if anything's happened. And this one is the Sol de Janeiro dupe, and that is over a year old. That's a year and a month old, and you can see we've got no growth. So that means that the preservative has done its job, and that's stable, and I'd be happy to send that for a challenge test if I was going to sell it. But obviously, because it's a dupe, I'm not going to sell it. That was just made for fun, and I was interested because I do want to see how well my products do, so I'm pleased with that one. And then this was the niacinamide lotion that I made in March last year, and a bit of condensation, but that's normal with these normally. And we can see there's no bacteria showing up there. If you do get any, then it shows up as little red spots. It's very obvious. So yeah, we're pleased with that as well, and that's one that's been being used as well. So that's very good, that's working. So now we'll test something else. Okay, so same as we did before, but this time I'm going to be testing the rose face wash that I made. I've been really enjoying this. I just want to make sure that it's still good. And I did put the date as the batch code, and it was made on the 12th of June last year. So we'll test that. And also the deep conditioner that I made, I think I did this on Patreon, and that was made on the 27th of October 2022. So this is well over a year old, so I'm really interested in the stability of this. Again, this was another formula that I really liked, so yeah, I want to test that. So they're my next two. So let's start with the conditioner. Opening it up, this hasn't been used, it's just been left. There's a few air bubbles. I think that was my fault when I mixed it, because I did shear mix it a bit too much and added quite a lot of air into it, so that was a manufacturing error, and that could potentially affect stability, so we will see. So let's do that first. I've got my two brand new dip slides, so we'll get one of these. We'll get one of our swabs. These are sterile swabs, and just get a little bit of the conditioner, put it so you can see it, and then just as before, we want just a thin coating on the top. And what these dip slides have is they have sort of bacteria loving stuff. I can't speak today. Basically, if you put anything on here that has bacteria, they like to eat that, and basically that's where you get the little red spots and things. So let's get rid of this swab and do the other side. And for that we need a new swab. basically you just want to make sure that you're not cross-contaminating when you do this. So fresh swab for each side. I mean, if you want to, you can dip the slides. I mean, they are called dip slides. You can dip them into the product, but I find it better to do this because then you're not contaminating the product and you can test it again later at different dates. So there we go. Both sides are done. Let's pop that back in its little container and label it with the label I've already made. This is the deep conditioner. Again, put it on the side because you have the best chance of seeing what's on the slide then, and we'll put it in the incubator. Pop the lid on, and then because they're sterile swabs, that is still sterile, it's not been contaminated by anything, so I am going to put this back on a shelf because I am just going to keep checking stability until it's not stable. And the next one, we're going to use our rose face wash. So this has been used, this one. So let's take the sterile swab and let's open our dip slide first. I do love that noise. Right, let's get some of that and put a thin coating on one side, like so. Throw this swab away. Get the next one, turn it round. Fresh swab so we're not contaminating the product. And then on this side like this. You see it's just a very thin coating, like that. Okay, throw this away and then pop the lid on like that, keeps it contained, and we'll pop the label on and then wait another 24 to 48 hours with these in here and see how they do. Just to go through this with you, so what the pink side tests against is yeast and moulds, and it gives you the incubation time. So you want to do this between 48 and 120 hours, and then the temperature of the incubator is kept constant. So that's what that checks for. And then the yellow side is the total viable count. So this is the bacteria and things, and then it gives you your incubation time, 24 to 48 hours, and then again the temperature. And what I do is I tend to do it for the longest possible for this one. It just, especially if they're sort of a year old or something, it just gives you the best results. But yeah, the only other thing to mention is that these dip slides do have a use by date, so do check the box, because if you're using them out of date, you're not going to get accurate results. So you do need to make sure that you're using them before they run out of date. So yeah, let's leave this for 48 hours and we'll come back and see how it goes. So if you remember the other day, which you should do because it was 2 seconds ago for you, I did some stability testing with my dip slides, and these have actually been left all weekend now, so it's been about 4 days. So we're going to take a look. I've unplugged it obviously, but these have been on at a constant sort of 30 degrees ish, and this one was the rose water face wash, and I'm very happy with that. Absolutely nothing at all, perfectly clear. So that's really good. That means that's absolutely fine. And then this one was the deep conditioner, which was actually made in 2022. So quite old now. No bacteria at all. No mould. Really, really pleased with that. That means that my preservative was effective at doing its job. So I could now be happy that the products that I've tested would pass at a challenge test, and I could be fairly confident that at the end of their test they would pass and I wouldn't have to pay to have them done again. And this is why we do dip slides, because it really it saves us that money, because we know in advance of the challenge testing they're going to pass. It's also good for you if you're in another country that doesn't require challenge testing. In my opinion, you should be doing this yourself, so at least you can be happy with your products and you know they're safe for your customers. Bit of a rambly, whimsical video there, but you get the idea. If you want to get an incubator and dip slides for testing your own products, then the link is below, and like I said earlier in the video, they have kindly given a 5% discount for my viewers, so just make sure you use my discount code. Thank you for watching this video, and as usual, please don't forget to subscribe, and if you want a bit more information, or you want to chat to me, or you want all of my formulas, they're all available on Patreon. Thank you very much to all my patrons, including my VIP patrons here, and I'll see you in the next one.